Hey, what's up guys? JayzTwoCents here, and today we're going to be taking a look at what is going to be my new chassis for my land rig that I'm building. And I bet you can't guess who makes it. Can you? Before we talk about the XM2, I want to take a moment to talk to you about a documentary hosted by Norton Security called Most Dangerous Towns. And it actually follows a few hackers in an area of Romania that's actually known as being kind of ground zero of some of the most notorious hackers in the world.
My story is simple. I hacked email account, George Bush, Hillary Clinton, so much accounts of the Rockefellers, but I am not sorry for what I've done. Never. Never in my lifetime.
I think what stood out to me most during this documentary was the interview with Guccifer, who has absolutely no remorse for hacking into the email accounts of some of the highest ranking politicians in the United States. And we're talking the Bushes, the Clintons, even hacked into pretty much all of the Rockefellers. I mean, it's just absolutely fascinating what some of these people can do. And I actually had no idea that the internet in Romania was typically faster than anywhere here in the United States. I mean, we're talking like complete fiber optics throughout the entire city. So anyway, why don't you go ahead and head to the link in the description or the annotation here on the screen and watch the documentary presented by Norton Security in search of the most dangerous town on the internet. Okay, so today's video is all about the new chassis I'm using for a land rig that I'm building. You guys know I did the Parvum build, but the Parvum case itself was not very portable friendly. It was made all of acrylic and I wasn't a huge fan of that. Now back in December guys, over 6 months ago, Case Labs teased me about an upcoming chassis that they were doing called the X2, which was a completely redesigned micro ITX or mini ITX with the micro ATX variant, new chassis for small form factor builds. Now they currently have a chassis that's already a mini ITX, but it's a horizontal design, and I'm not a fan of that. So we're taking a look today at the brand spanking new, I think I have one of the very first ones, XM2 chassis. And we're gonna go ahead and dive into this chassis and show you how it's modular, how you can set it up. It's one of the things Case Labs is really known for, is its completely modular designs where you can definitely make it your own and kind of set it up per your needs. You don't have to set up your build to the case. You can set your case up to the build. That's one of the things I love about Case Labs. Now obviously it has a huge side window on here, and it's got a protective film on there, which I'm going to be leaving on simply because I do not want to scratch it up. But the entire thing, the entire case is made out of a heavy grade aluminum. Now I went with white on this chassis, even though I could have done even a custom color. They offered to do a custom color for me. I stuck with white because I've always wanted to do a white and green build. I've always liked white and green, so that's what I'm going to be doing with this one here. Now the first thing you can see here is you have your cutout for your motherboard, which is so itty bitty because of the fact that it's a mini ITX. It's so small. In fact, you've got all this open space over here, which kind of leaves you wondering, well, it's a pretty decent sized chassis for being a mini ITX. What gives? Well guys, you can configure this any way you want. Like I said, you can put in a whole row of drive cages there if you want. You can put in optical drives. You can put in water cooling. Obviously, we're going to be doing water cooling. You have plenty of room here for reservoirs and radiators on the top and on the front, and pumps and tubes and pipes and all that other goodness. You got plenty of room up top here for LEDs. I mean, the list just goes on and on. Now, I've already put the feet on this thing, and don't worry guys, I'm not going to hit my monitor. I know you guys are freaking out. There's actually a lot of space between the back and the monitor. It's just a optical illusion. But anyway, I've already put the rubber feet on the bottom, as you can see. So I guess we'll start on the bottom. Better place than ever. You do have a 140 millimeter fan cutout on the bottom, so you can bring air in if you want. Just keep in mind, Case Labs cases, at least at the time of making this video, still are not fan filtered. So it's going to be pulling in any dirt and debris that's right on your floor or on your desk or on your carpet. So you're going to want to keep that in mind. Maybe install a fan filter on the inside, but it doesn't come with any filtration options built in. Now up here you also have a honeycomb design for the power supply fan intake so that you can pull in air from the bottom of the case. Again, same thing regarding filtration, keep that in mind. And so you can exhaust that right out of the back. Now on the back you can see here, there's your power supply is going to mount, and then you do have a rigid mounting system for your graphics card. And that was one of the things that I really didn't like about the Parvum build, was that it had a very poor, at least in my opinion, a very poor mounting mechanism for the graphics cards. Now on the back right here, you also have a honeycomb design for the exhaust fan, or it could be an intake technically as well. So it's 120 millimeter, and then you've got your cutout right here for your m-ITX motherboard. Now on the front, I've got an optional piece installed on here, and this is the radiator mount, which gives me a place to be able to mount either two 120 or two 140 millimeter fans, as well as a radiator on the front. Now the top is already, as you can see, it is already pre-cut for mounting of either two 120s or two 140 millimeter fans and or radiator. But the top piece, at least as far as I know, only comes in one size. You can't actually add the thicker top piece on here like you can with like the SM-A8 and the SM-8s and stuff to be able to do push-pull. So as far as I know, this is the only piece available. Maybe they'll have other options. I'm not sure. I didn't actually order this case. This is one they configured and sent to me based on what I requested. So maybe they will have a thicker panel, but as of right now, I'm not too sure. But to give you an idea of just how rigid this aluminum is, this sucker is freaking phenomenal. And it's all one piece of aluminum that's been cut, stamped out, and then the edges are press brake bent to give it so much stability. In fact, I took a tour of the Case Labs facility, and it's really amazing how much work goes into the quality of the panels. Now on the front here, once again, we do have the cutout here, the little front panel that you can pop off. And as you can see, it's got the cutout here on the bottom for the power switch, audio options, and USB. Again, this is all configurable, so you can pretty much, I just put a sticker on there on accident. Whoops. You can order this based on your needs. You can get it with just the power button, with just without the audio, without the USB. I mean, there's a bunch of different options that they actually have. But here's what I think is really neat. Let's say you're not a fan of having this on the bottom like this. Maybe you want the power buttons on the top. Well, you simply unscrew these two screws, pull the thing out with all of the wires, put it in the top right here, take this guy, flip it over, and then you've got your top mounted buttons. So you guys can actually put it however you want, bottom or top. To be honest, I haven't decided how I'm going to do it. Probably on the bottom because of the fact that I'm going to have so much water cooling in this stuff. That seems like it would make the most sense. But in any case, again, as I mentioned, the modular aspect of these cases is certainly what gives Case Labs one hell of a name in the modding community. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at behind the motherboard tray. Now, in order to keep this thing price pointed at a place where more people can afford it, they've gone ahead and omitted the removable motherboard tray, which Case Labs has integrated into their cases. So there's no removable motherboard tray, but you do have, or at least it's not a slide out. You do have these 4 screws on the back, so you can unscrew those, and you can take the back plate here for the motherboard off, and then you can work on the motherboard and install it back into the case. And then over here, you also have some mountings for your hard drives, SSDs and things of that nature. I don't believe that this is actually going to fit a 3.5-inch drive on the back. It's just simply not thick enough, but you are going to be able to fit quite a few SSDs on here. And the cool thing too as well is all of these holes that are drilled, they could work for either SSD mounts, and they could even work for mounting reservoirs and such on there. So you could use these as kind of hole guides and then drill through. On the front here, you've got these 4 screws holding in this cover plate so that you don't actually have to do any of the measuring for where the reservoirs and stuff would go. You could just put a mark on there through the holes on the back and then drill through this plate directly as well. In terms of cable management, you've got some pretty large cutouts here. These are actually strapped in, I can't get them out of the way. But you have some pretty large cutouts here to be able to run your cables through. You got slots for your fans, and you've got a slot below and above the motherboard. So cable management should be pretty easy. These are not grommeted. There's no grommets on here. Another thing that they did to be able to accommodate keeping things a little bit more price friendly, although you could put rubber grommets in there without too much problem. But this case was actually designed with all-in-one coolers more in mind, but still flexible enough to be able to put a complete custom loop in here, and large enough to put a complete custom loop in here if you wanted. And obviously, that's what we're going to be doing with this build. So there you go, guys. That's a quick look here at the XM2 from Case Labs, their brand new m-ITX chassis that I'm going to be doing a green and white build in. I might end up putting my 980 Ti reference in here. I haven't decided. I still have the 670, or how do I keep saying 670? I still have the 970 G1 Gaming from Gigabyte with EK water block on there, but I kind of feel like I want to go with as much power in this thing as I possibly can. So putting the 980 Ti reference in there might make a lot of sense. So anyway, guys, oh, and you know what? In terms of depth as well, I might as well mention that. So here is the WindForce card, which we already took a look at, the G1 Gaming 980 Ti. And you can see, for being a m-ITX chassis, just how much length you actually have in this thing. But you can also see how you have to be careful when it comes to how you set up your water cooling config, because you're not going to have a lot of extra space. Now granted, the card's got about 1.5 inches of extra length on it, which is going to add up. But yeah, you can see it's going to be a tight fit no matter how you go about it. So it's going to be a challenging build, but I think it's going to look really good. And I mean, shoot, with how much stuff I crammed in the Parvum, this is going to be a piece of cake. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. Follow on social media if you have any questions. I don't know exactly when this video went live, to be honest with you. I've kind of been shooting a bunch of videos because I'm going to E3. In fact, by the time this goes up, I may have already went to E3. It might be past tense. I don't even know. I don't even know anymore. I'm just going to go ahead and get the heck on out of here, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.